Robert Buchel did something most people thought was impossible. He started losing the weight. Hundreds of pounds came off his body, and for a moment, it looked like Dr. Now's program might actually save him. But then the story took a turn no one was ready for, because Robert didn't die before he changed. He died after hope finally came back, and that is what makes his journey one of the most disturbing tragedies in my 600-pound life history. Every morning, Robert woke up shocked that he was still alive. That is how bad his life had become. He was not waking up to live. He was waking up to pain, fear, and the terrifying question of how much longer his body could keep going before it finally gave out.
First thing I think of when I wake up in the morning is that I feel blessed and shocked at the same time, because it's almost unbelievable that I woke up. The pain I feel when I wake up is all over. And I feel sometimes that I can't take or live this life one more minute.
His first struggle of the day was not breakfast, work, or even getting dressed. It was using the bathroom. Catherine had to help him through the most private and humiliating parts of life because Robert's weight had taken almost every piece of independence he had left.
It's physically draining, mentally, emotionally taxing. It's not a pain or life I wish on anyone, because I can't do anything. I can't do anything for anyone, especially myself. So I am completely dependent upon my fiance, Catherine.
Catherine did not come into Robert's life to become a full-time nurse. She wanted to become his wife, but every day love turned into caregiving. She cleaned him, helped him move, protected him from falling, and carried a burden no fiance should ever have to carry alone.
And I met Catherine when I was 28, and I lied to Catherine when I first met her about how much I weighed. I didn't think she'd be able to handle it or want someone that overweight.
I met Rob about 14 years ago. Rob's size didn't bother me. He was such a fun person to be around. It never really occurred to me to worry about his size. Every day you just wake up and say, all right, I have him here with me and I gotta do what I gotta do. Knowing the kind of pain that Rob is in is devastating, because I can maintain him, but I can't fix him. Rob is completely helpless. He doesn't have an aide, so between me and his mother, we take care of him, but I give him his bath. And under the skin fold, he's getting boils and sores and making sure that they're clean and trying to keep him as infection-free as possible, because when he gets an infection, he gets an infection.
But it's hard to do this every day.
1, 2.
And it's killing me to see him like this, because he's not living life at all.
And seeing somebody struggling all the time and not being able to tell him everything's gonna be okay. I don't know that. I don't know if in the morning he's gonna wake up.
Food was the one comfort Robert could still reach for, and that made it even more dangerous. It gave him relief for a few minutes, but it also kept him trapped. Every bite made Catherine's job harder, made his body weaker, and pushed their wedding, their future, and their family further away.
The type of food that Rob wants is always greasy, spicy, filling, salty. That's what he loves. I wish I could wave my magic wand, because he's going to die. And I think he's trying to kill himself with food. This is like a slow suicide.
Robert doesn't have a lot of enjoyment or happiness in his life except for food. Food actually excites him. And when he doesn't get what he likes, he becomes extremely anxious.
Living life like this, I've risked relationships, and I have tremendous guilt and shame, because I'm still putting the ones that love me through this. But I always incorporated food with feeling better, because it just made things better for me to deal with. Damn the consequences. That simple pleasure of eating something, as bad as it was for me, just made me happy. But then afterwards, I would start to question myself why I had to eat that much. And I couldn't even contemplate how I let myself get like this.
Robert's pain did not begin with the scale. It began years before, with rejection, trauma, grief, and a life where food became the only thing that stayed. After losing his brother, the eating grew darker. By the time he met Catherine, food was no longer a habit. It was the way he survived emotionally.
Because when I was 19, I got a phone call one day that my brother Chris had a heart attack. He was in the hospital. Chris was 3.5 years older than me. We ran to the hospital. We came in, and the doctor pronounced he was dead. felt like my world crashed down, just crashed right down. And the night my brother died, my sister says, boy, I thought you would have had a heart attack, not Chris. So I felt that it should have been me. I was so depressed and I was overeating like I never ate before, just not caring. So after my brother passed, I was definitely over 600 pounds.
Then came the impossible trip to Houston. Just getting Robert out of the house looked like a rescue operation. Every lift, every step, every breath showed how close his body was to the edge. Catherine knew this was not a normal road trip. This was the moment that would decide whether they still had a future at all.
This journey, it's gonna take everything out of me. But throwing all my cards in, and I'm willing to risk my whole life because I do wanna live and I do want a life with Catherine and to come back to my family and friends. I have to do this.
You're in.
The road to Houston exposed the brutal truth. Robert could not even travel like a normal person. They had to stop constantly to eat, to rest, to handle bathroom breaks. Every hotel, every hallway, every bed became another reminder that his body no longer fit inside the world around him.
Rob is having trouble because sitting like this is really uncomfortable for him. And we haven't made it very far because we've had to stop constantly to eat. And now we need to find a parking lot to stop at again because Rob needs to take a bathroom break. So we'll do that and get back on the road as fast as we can.
I didn't need this to happen. I didn't break anything, but I'm definitely in pain from that. Like, I'm gonna feel in a couple hours. Like, the pain's gonna be tremendous. But it's a reminder that I'm not strong enough to do things on my own, and I have to get help. If I can't get the help I need, I have nothing left.
When Dr. Now finally saw Robert, he did not just see a man who needed to lose weight. He saw a man running out of time. Robert was too large to weigh safely, but Dr. Now already knew the danger. If Robert did not enter the hospital immediately, he might not survive much longer.
Robert Buchel is showing up here shortly. His weight is unknown, but he's been as heavy as 800 pounds. And he's almost completely bedridden. I'm extremely concerned right now. Robert is on far too many painkillers. And if we don't address that issue will likely kill him first. And the fact that he's alive and his body has been able to endure that is truly a miracle. And there are very few people on the planet that could survive all that.
At first, the hospital looked like the miracle Robert needed. His food was controlled. His body started dropping weight. For the first time in years, the scale was finally moving in the right direction. But while his body was getting lighter, another danger was getting stronger.
Robert has been doing well with the treatments we have been giving him, and he's staying on the diet. So we have improved his situation a good bit. But he still has a long way to go before he is out of the woods. And we have run a number of tests on him, and there are some concerning issues that we are finding. The biggest one being the amount of painkillers he had in his system. It's the highest I have ever seen, and I've seen a lot. And that alone has deteriorated his body significantly, on top of the amount of weight he has on him. But I don't think he even realizes the amount of painkillers he's been taking in. And my big concern right now is the painkillers he's been taking are very strong. And that the excess use can cause ulcers that can form a hole that will lead to the stomach acid leaking into the body and can lead to sepsis and then death. So I'm doing an endoscopy to see if there are any life-threatening issues like that caused by the painkillers or any other factors he has right now. Because his situation can turn deadly quickly if we don't identify and treat it.
Then came the breakthrough everyone had been waiting for. Robert's body finally started responding. The weight was falling off so fast that, for the first time, it looked like the impossible might actually happen. He had come in as a man too large to weigh safely, but now he was dropping hundreds of pounds under Dr. Now's care. Hope was finally back in the room. But the progress came with a terrifying problem. Robert's body was shrinking, but the pain was exploding. The same man who was finally winning against food was now facing a darker enemy, pain medication. Dr. Now could see the danger immediately. If Robert escaped food only to fall into another addiction, the weight loss would not save him.
Robert is in better place, but until he gets much more active, then his body will continue to deteriorate at a significant rate until it accelerates to the point that his body just gives out. And even with all the progress he has made, his lack of mobility still keeps him in a place where one small thing can lead him to a situation where his body starts to fail.
Still, Robert kept losing weight, the number kept falling, and the doctors finally reached the point where they could do something major. Surgery. This was supposed to be the moment that changed everything. A procedure that could remove part of the physical burden from his body and push him closer to walking again, closer to freedom, closer to the life Catherine had been praying for.
Today, we are doing lymphedema removal on Robert to take off the large mass on his right side.
After surgery, the story should have become a victory. Robert had lost a massive amount of weight. He was lighter, safer, and closer to a future than he had been in years. But instead of peace, the surgery exposed how fragile he really was. The pain became overwhelming, and the emotional crash hit harder than anyone expected.
It's been a couple days since Rob had his surgery, and everything is fine except he's in a lot of pain. He's constantly asking me to get him painkillers, but he's on a regimented schedule right now for what he can take. And so outside of that, there's nothing I can do.
He's been on pain meds for many, many years, so he's a little less susceptible to their effects. And he's having a tough time with the pain, but he's pushing through it.
Catherine expected surgery to bring Robert back to life. Instead, she watched him turn into someone she barely recognized. She said it felt like somebody flipped a switch. The man she wanted to marry was still there somewhere, but pain, withdrawal, anger, and fear were swallowing him in front of her.
After his surgery, he was in a fairly good mood. In the first few days, he was normal Rob, and then it's like somebody flipped a switch, and he has been a nasty person since then. It's been very difficult being near him. I stay with him almost every night, and he told me one night that I don't do anything for him. So it's been hard. And he still feels like pain is keeping him from exercising like he needs. So I'm starting to get really worried. And he just doesn't care.
Gee, I don't know. Maybe the way you've been treating me, maybe the way you've been, you won't do anything. You're nasty to everyone. Especially me.
No, because you try to make me look bad in front of people.
I don't try to make you look bad. I'm just trying to get the facts right that you're not getting right.
You know, I'm eating the regimented food. I'm drinking the water. What else can I do?
Do the leg exercises. I brought your stupid exercise bar. You haven't touched it once.
But Robert was not standing still, even in pain, even after surgery, even with his mind falling apart, there were still moments of progress. He tried to move, he tried to get up, he tried to take steps toward the life everyone wanted for him, but every step came with pain, fear, and the terrifying question of whether his body had already been damaged too much. This was the cruelest part of Robert's journey. He was improving and collapsing at the same time. The scale showed progress. The surgery showed progress. His body was lighter than before, but Catherine could feel something darker happening underneath. She was not just afraid he would fail the program. She was afraid his body was reaching the point where it could not go on. Then Robert said the words Catherine never wanted to hear. He told her he did not think he would make it through the night. This was not drama. This was not another setback. This was a man who could feel his body giving out. Hours later, he said he could not breathe, and Catherine's worst fear became real.
Last night, I was getting ready to go, and he says, please don't leave me tonight. I don't feel good. I want somebody here with me. So we were sitting there, and he was looking at me, and he says, I just want to let you know. He says, I don't think I'm going to make it through tonight. And I said, of course you're fine. You'll be fine. And he says, well, just in case, he says, just understand I love you and I always have. And I told him, I said, I love you too. And we laid down and we went to bed. Right around 6 o'clock, I hear him setting himself up. And I looked at him, I said, what's the matter? He says, hit the button. And the nurse came in and, I was telling him what's going on. And all of a sudden he says, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I was holding his hand. I said, it's all right, just focus on me. And no, he kept trying to get a breath in and then his eyes just went black, completely dilated out. And he just began to fall back, and I held on to him. I said, no, please. And I'm smacking his hand. I said, please, no, don't do this. I said, don't do this.
Catherine did not just lose the man she loved. She lost the wedding, the future, the family, and the life they had been fighting for. The most painful part was that Robert had finally started winning. He had lost weight. He had made progress. He had gone through surgery, but the damage inside his body had already gone too far.
Next year, we were planning to get married when he was okay and walking and better. And again, that reality had to set in this morning that it's not gonna happen. Everything that we were planning is gone. Absolutely everything. And I don't know how to process the fact that I lost.
Dr. Now's final words made the tragedy even heavier. He said Robert had been fighting the clock, and in the end, his body gave up. But Robert never did. That sentence is what makes this story so devastating. Robert did not quit. He did not stop wanting a future. He simply ran out of time before his body could recover from years of destruction.
I am so sorry for your loss. Robert had struggled with his weight all his life, and he knew that he was running against the clock, and his body gave up. But he never did give up.
And thank
Robert's story is remembered because it breaks the usual pattern. He did not ignore the program until the end. He did not fail because nothing changed. He changed. He lost weight. He went through surgery. He tried to move again. And still, the ending came too soon. That is why his journey feels less like a failure and more like a warning that help must come before the body reaches the point of no return.
Although I've only been here on this earth for 33 years, I can easily say that I've never met anyone like Rob. He was exciting, he was loving, he was romantic, and he was, above all, my best friend. I can only say that this world didn't just lose a good man, but it was robbed of a great man. And my heart went with him.
In the end, Robert became one of the most tragic reminders in my 600-pound life history. His journey was not just about obesity, it was about pain, trauma, addiction, love, surgery, progress, and a body that had been pushed too far for too long. He fought harder than people expected. He gave Catherine hope again, but by the time hope came back, time had already run out.